In this video, we're going to go through on Rulang Primary School P5 Weighted Assessment or Mini Test 1 2025. So if you want more of this kind of exam papers, you can go to easy1.sg/SG exam to find out more. So let's get started on the first question. Alright, so the first question says in 813465, the value of the digit 8 is, so 813465, so 813, make this a little bit bigger, right? 813465 is essentially equal to 800, 800,000. So pretty straightforward. The answer to this question is 800,000 in this case. Let's move on to the next question. So next question, Peter, Mary and John shared some marbles among themselves. Peter received 4 marbles more than Mary. Then John received twice as many marbles as Peter. True, false, or not possible to tell. John had 8 more marbles than Mary. So in this case over here, we want to see that Peter received 4 more marbles than Mary. And John received twice as many marbles as Peter. So it says here John had 8 more marbles than Mary. So in this case, let's draw a working, right? So you have Peter, you have Mary, and then you have John. Okay, so in this case over here, we want to make this a bit bigger. So Peter received 4 more marbles than Mary. So we're going to put Peter, and Peter received 4 more. So I'm just going to put here as 4. Right, let's see, put here as 4. Right, then after that, John received twice as many marbles as Peter. So that means he is 2 times of this. Okay, so does this make sense that John has 8 more marbles than Mary? The answer is false, because yes, we do have 8 more. So John received twice as many as Peter, but at the same time, he has 2 more units as well. So imagine this is 1 unit, right? So 1 unit over here, 1 unit over here, and then 1 unit. That's what we see over here. Okay, so 8 plus 1 unit. So the answer to this question is false. Okay, there you go. So let's move on to the next statement. The next statement, right, it says here, John had 4 more marbles than Peter. So John has 4 more marbles than Peter. This is also false, because even though this is 4 as well, but since John is twice, that means he's also 1 unit more as well. So in this case, this is false as well. Okay, and then let's move on to the next question. So let me put John is 1 unit plus 1 unit and 4 more marbles more than Peter, right, in this case. All right, let's move on to the next question. So the children had a total of 16 marbles. So in this case, can we tell? Probably not. Even with the models, if we were to, we are missing the 1 unit. And there's no clue that it says how much or what's the difference in terms of 1 unit. So in this case, it's not possible to tell, because there is no indicator of whether 1 unit, whether 1 unit is a value, right? In this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 22. Express 22 1/3 as a decimal. So give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So in this case, it's basically a simple division. So 3, and then you have 22. That's what I see over here. Right, so I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. All right, so just do a simple division working. So in this case, 3 and 22, the closest to this, okay, is basically minus 21, right? So 7 times 3 is equal to 21. So I'm going to put 7 over here, right? So 7. And then this will leave us to 1. So I'm going to put 1 over here. And then I'm going to put 0. So what's closest to 10 that we can minus off? Minus 9, right? So that means this is 7.3. Okay. And then from here we can have 10 minus 9, which will then become 1, right? And then same thing, 10 minus 9, it will look something like this, right? So in this case, it will also be 3 again, right? In this case, 7.33. So we were to round up, okay? So 22 out of 3 is basically 7.33 ... And if we were to round up to the 1 decimal place, that means it's 7.3. So there you go. So the answer is 7.3. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Okay, next question says Mr. Lee is 43 years old. His son Tom is 7 years old. How much older is Mr. Lee than his son? Okay, so in this case, pretty straightforward. Mr. Lee is 43 years old, right? And then Tom is 7 years old. Okay, so how much older? So Mr. Lee, so it's basically 43 minus 7. This will give us 36 years old. That's it. How much older? Mr. Lee is 36 older than Tom. All right, let's move on to the next question. Right, so Mr. Lee is 43 years old. His son is 7 years old, Tom. In how many years' time will Mr. Lee be 4 times as old as his son? Okay, so in this case, so it will look something like this, right? Mr. Lee is 4 times as old as his son. Then we also know that the difference, okay, so the difference between Mr. Lee and Tom, right, if we were to just have the difference like this, is 3 units. Okay, so I'll just put 1 unit in each side over here. So 1 unit is here. Okay, another unit is here, another unit, and another unit. Okay, and also over here as well. Okay, so Tom and Mr. Lee has 3 units in terms of difference. The thing is that, for example, right, for example, so this is an example in 2026, which is this year. So Mr. Lee is 43 years old. And then Tom is 7 years old. Okay, and then the difference is equal to 43 minus 7, which is equal to 36. So now the thing is that let's go to 2027. So what do you think will happen? Both of them will be more that will have 1 year added to their age. Will be 44, 7 will be 8. But what about the difference? The difference is the same, right? The difference is just 36 years old. Again, 44, no, yeah? 44 minus 8 is equal to 36. Okay, what about 2026? What about 2028? We add 1 more again, 45. And then Tom is 9, so 45 minus 9 is equal to 36. Let's go to 2029. Then what happens? It becomes 46. And then Tom is 10 years old. And the difference between 46 and 10 is equal to 36. So you see that the difference remains the same. So if Mr. Lee wants to be 4 times as old as his son, which is 4 units, and Tom is 1 unit, that means the difference will always be 36. So in this case over here, right? So difference, so from this, right, difference remains the same. So since the difference is 3 units, so that means 3 units equal to 36. And then 1 unit is equal to 36 divided by 3, which is 12. Then in how many years' time will Mr. Lee be 4 times as old? So let's see, 4 years, 4 units. Okay, 1 unit actually. So 1 unit is 12. So in this case, this will be 12, right? So that means 12 minus 7. So years, number of years where Mr. Lee is 4 times as old as his son is basically 12 minus 7, which is in 5 years' time. There you go. So that's the answer. 5 years. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. Ali gave 15 marbles to each of his 36 classmates. He had 60 marbles left. How many marbles did he have at first? So I think this is pretty straightforward. So what we can do is total marbles given to classmates is equal to 15 times 36. Okay. So in this case, for me, usually what I'll do is that 10, so 15 is basically 10 plus 5 times 36. Okay, so that means equal 10 times 36 plus 5 times 36. Right? So in this case, 10 times 36 is basically 360. And then 5 times 36 is basically half of it, which is 180. And then from here, we can get 180 plus 360 is equal to 4. So 540. So total marbles he has is basically 540 plus, what do you call this? 16. Oops, 16 equal to 5556. Okay, so there you go. So the answer to this is 556. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so for question 3a, we need to fill in the blanks, right? So something of the color of pencils in a box, something of the color pencils are yellow and the rest are green. There are something color pencils in the box. There are more red color pencils than the green. So what is A? Okay, so in this case, what is the simplest line that we can, in a way, put in that we are certain that is the correct answer? So for me, the easiest to answer, right, is this. There are something amount color pencils in the box. So that means there are total. So we know C over here because it's a different part. So C, right, bracket C is 120 because logically that is the biggest number, which most of the time is the total number of color pencils, right? In this case over here. Okay, then from here, there are D more red pencils. So this one, D, is 40 because logically that is the second biggest number, and also since it's a difference sentence, so it's a sentence where it says the difference between two number of items. 40 makes sense, right? 40 makes sense, right? Okay, so that's how I usually do it, right? So 20, so there are 40 more red pencils than green pencils. There's also yellow pencil. There's also 40, I mean there are yellow pencils as well. So what about A? So of the box are red, then the color pencils are yellow, and the rest are green. So this is where you can, in a way, guess and check lah, right? So let's say A is half, right? So that means red is equal to half times 120, which is 60. Okay, and then B, let's say A is half and B is, right, B is 1/3. So that means red is, okay lah. So that means 1/3. So yellow is equal to 1/3 times 120, which is 40. Okay, and the rest are green. So green is basically 120 minus 60, minus 40, which is equal to 20. All right, so now, then basically we're just double checking. Okay, so in this case, we want to know what's the difference. So red color pencils and green color pencils. So difference between red and green is equal to 60 minus 20 equal to 40, which is what we said just now, which is this one, right? 40. So that means it's correct. There you go. So we're going to put a tick over here. All right. So now we know all the answers. So in this case, A is half. All right. So I'm just going to put half. Okay. And then let's move on to the next one. So this is looking for B. Right. So B over here is 1/3, which is this. Excellent. And then C over here, right? Let's look up. C is 120, so it's number 4. That means it's correct. And then D over here is 40. All right, there you go. So that's the answer. All right, so yeah, that is question number 3. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 4, 39,458 is equal to 38,000 plus what? Plus 45 tenths. What's the missing number in the box? Okay, so basically 38,000 is equal to 38,000, and then we have 45 tenths. So 38,000 is basically 38 times 1,000, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, it's equal to 38,000 in this case over here. So 45 tenths equal to 45 times 10, which is 450. So now in this case, what is the missing number in the box? So we just get everything here. 39,458, right, is minus, then 38,000, then minus 450. So let's do step by step. So 39,450 minus 38,000. Okay, and this will be equal to 1,458 minus 450, and this will give us 1,008. So that's the answer, 1,008. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. There is an equal number of students in Hall C and Hall D. When 50 students were moved from Hall C to Hall D, there will be 500 students in Hall C. How many students are in both of the halls together? So you can do workings over here. So I'm going to write C and I'm going to write D. That's what you see over here. Okay, because make it a little bit easier. Okay, so there is an equal number of students in Hall C and Hall D. Okay, so let's make it a little bit like this. So then when 50 students move from Hall C to Hall D, so let's say this is 50. Put 50. Okay, so in a way this is Hall C, right? Something like this. Okay, so Hall C has 50, and then 50 students moves from Hall C to Hall D, and it will look something like this, right? So Hall C will no longer be available. That's why we put the dotted line. So there will be when 50 students move from Hall C to Hall D, then what is left over here, okay, is 500. Okay, that's what I see over here. Oops, 500. Okay, how many students were there in both halls together? So I think from here you probably can see. So this is 50 over here, and then this is 500. Okay, so what is the original number of students in both halls? It's basically total is 500. So 500 plus 50, and then times 2, right? So 550 plus 50 times 2, which is 550 times 2, which is 1100. So 1100, 1100. There you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Find the value of 8 times bracket 10 plus 2 times 3 bracket plus 2. Okay, so in this case over here, this is order of operations. Okay, so first one, which one is first? Brackets. Okay, then second one is what? Multiply or divide. And then third is either add or subtract. Okay, so even if inside the brackets you need to follow the multiply or divide, right? Okay, so in this case, the brackets go first. So 8 times 10 plus 2 times 3, as what you see over here. So we multiply it first, right? So in this case, we go in the brackets and then we multiply and divide. Okay, so in this case, 2 times 3, okay, this will be 6. Okay, then we still need to work on the brackets. So that means in this case over here, 10 plus 6 equal to 16. So we're just going to remove the brackets as well, since that's the last equation, the brackets. Okay, so 8 times 16, yeah, that's what you see over here. All right, so now the next thing is we want to multiply it by 16. So in a sense, this is the same as, I would say, 8 times bracket 10 plus 6 bracket plus 2, right? So essentially this will be 8 times 10 plus 8 times 6 plus 2. So 8 times 10 is 80 plus 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, and then plus 2. Okay, and now it's simpler, right? 80 plus what do you call this? 48 equal to 50. So that means for this case, 80 plus 50 is 130. So that's about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of videos, subscribe down below and comment down what other things you want me to show you next. See you in the next one. Bye bye.